Welcome to Titan's Legacy. Today, we are unlocking the ultimate blueprint for success, the 38 letters from Rockefeller to his son. John D. Rockefeller was not just the oil king, he remains the wealthiest American of all time. He built Standard Oil into an empire that controlled nearly the entire industry, yet he was also a man of immense generosity, funding advancements in medicine and education. But his true wealth wasn't just in his bank account, it was in his mindset. Throughout his life, Rockefeller wrote 38 private letters to his son, sharing his ruthless business strategies, his ethics, and his philosophy on life. These letters are invaluable documents that have inspired generations to live with purpose and continuous self-improvement. Before we begin, I hope you are all doing well. Ready to step into the mind of a titan? Let's open the first letter. The starting point does not determine the ending point. Our destiny is determined by our actions, not entirely by our origin. July 20, 1897. Dear John, you wish I could sail with you forever. That sounds great, but I'm not your forever captain. God created our feet to enable us to walk on our own. Maybe you are not ready to go alone, but you need to know that the challenging and magical business world I am in is the starting point of your new life, and you will start from there to participate in what you did not enjoy and about you in the feast of life in the future. How you use the knife and fork placed in front of your life and how you taste every dish served by the angel of fate is entirely up to you. Of course, I expect you to excel and outperform me in the not-too-distant future, and my decision to keep you by my side is nothing more than to take you to the high starting point of your career. So you can enjoy the opportunity to rise quickly without having to climb hard. Of course, there is nothing to be proud of and show off. The founding belief of the United States of America is that all men are created equal, but that equality is equality in the sense of rights and laws, independence of economic and cultural advantage. Think about it, our world is like a mountain. When your parents live on top of the mountain, you are not destined to live at the foot of the mountain. When your parents live at the foot of the mountain, you are destined not to live on the top of the mountain. In most cases, the position of the parents determines the starting point of the child's life, but this doesn't mean that everyone's starting point is different, and their life results are also different. In this world, there will never be a hereditary theory of the poor and the rich, and there will never be a hereditary theory of success or failure. There is only the truth of my struggle and my success. I firmly believe that our destiny is determined by our actions, not entirely by our origins. As you know, when I was young, my family was very poor. I remember that the books I used when I was in middle school were bought for me by kind neighbors. At the beginning of my life, my weekly salary was only $5 per week. In the eyes of others, this may seem like a legend, but I think it's a reward for my perseverance and active struggle, and a reward for my hard work by the God of fate. John, opportunities will always be unequal, but outcomes may be equal. In history, whether in politics or in business, especially business, there are many examples of self-made people. They all had a few opportunities because of poverty, but they all became famous because of struggle. However, history is also littered with examples of rich kids who have had all the advantages and failed. According to a Massachusetts statistic, not one of the 17 rich children left the world rich. A long time ago, there was a satirical story about the incompetence of the rich kids. In a small bar in Philadelphia, a customer talked about a millionaire and said he's a self-made millionaire. Yes, replied a more shrewd gentleman next to him. He inherited 20 million, and then he turned it into 1 million. This is a sad story, but in our society today, the children of rich families are in a dilemma of either advancing or retreating. Many of them are destined to be sympathetic and pitiful, and even go to hell. The family's history of glory and success does not guarantee a bright future for its children and grandchildren. I admit that an early advantage does help a lot, but it doesn't guarantee a win in the end. I have pondered this sad question for the rich kids more than once, and it seems to me that the rich kids are beginning to take on the advantages, but have little opportunity to learn and develop the skills they need to survive. On the other hand, people from humble backgrounds, because they urgently need to save themselves, will actively exert their creativity and ability, and cherish and seize various opportunities. I have also observed that the rich children lack the ambition to save themselves from poverty, and they can only pray that God grants them fulfillment. So when you and your sisters were very young, I consciously did not let you know that your father was a rich man. What I instilled in you the most were values such as frugality and personal struggle, because I knew that giving people the quickest way to bring harm is to give them money. It can make people corrupt and lose the most beautiful happiness. I can't bury my beloved children with wealth and fool you into incompetent people who don't want to make progress and only know how to rely on the fruits of their parents. A truly happy person can enjoy his creation, but those who are like sponges who only take and do not give will only lose their happiness. I believe that there are no people who do not want to live a happy and noble life, but there are not many people who really know where the noble and happy life comes from. In my opinion, a noble and happy life does not come from noble blood nor from a noble way of life, but from noble character and self-reliance. Look at those noble people, who have won the respect of the world and exerted their charm everywhere. We know the value of self-reliance. John, every move of yours will be missed by me, but compared to this concern, I have more confidence in you and believe that your excellent character, a character more valuable than any wealth in the world, will help you pave a good future and will help you succeed and have a fulfilling life. But you need to reinforce the belief that the starting point may affect the outcome, but it will not determine the outcome. Factors such as ability, attitude, character, ambition, means, experience, and luck play an extremely important role in life and the business world. Your life has just begun, but a life battle is in front of you. I could feel deeply that you want to be the winner of this war, but know that everyone has the will to win, and only those who are determined to prepare will win. My son, the privileged and powerless are rubbish, and the educated and uninfluenced are worthless rubbish. Find your way, and God will help you. Love, your father. The second letter. Luck depends on planning. January 20th, 1900. Dear John. Some people are destined to be dazzling kings or great men because of their extraordinary talents, such as old Mr. McCormick, who had a brain that made luck and knew how to turn a reaper into a sight for money. In my eyes, McCormick Sr. will always be an ambitious and commercially gifted industrial tycoon, who freed American farmers with the harvester and put himself among the richest men in America. The French seemed to like him more, hailing him as the man who had contributed most to the world. Oh, what an unexpected bonus! This business wizard, who could only be an ordinary farm implement dealer, had an esoteric saying, "Luck is the remnant of design." This sentence does sound quite confusing. Does it mean that luck is the result of planning and strategy? Or is luck just what's left over after planning? My experience tells me that both meanings exist. In other words, we create our own luck, and we can't eliminate luck with any action. Luck is completely the gospel that is difficult to get rid of in the planning process. McCormick understood the true meaning of luck and opened the door to luck. So it's no surprise to me that the McCormick harvester can be marketed around the world as a product that never sets. However, in our world, it is difficult to find someone who is as good at planning luck as Mr. McCormick, and it is also difficult to find someone who does not believe in luck and who does not misunderstand luck. In the eyes of ordinary people, luck is always innate, and as long as they find someone who has been promoted to a position, has achieved great success in the business world, or succeeded in a certain field, they will say casually, even in a contemptuous tone, "This man is so lucky, that luck helped him." Such a man can never glimpse a great truth that makes him successful. Every man is the designer and architect of his own destiny. I admit that just like people can't live without money, people can't live without luck. But you can't wait for luck to make a difference. My creed is I don't live by God-given luck, but I thrive by planning. I believe that good planning can influence luck, and in any case, can successfully influence luck. My plan to turn competition into cooperation in the oil world is a testament to this. Before that plan began, the refiners fought their own way, greed for profit, and the result was a devastating competition. This competition is certainly a boon for consumers, but falling oil prices are disastrous for the refiners. At that time, the vast majority of refiners were doing business at a loss and were sliding into bankruptcy one by one. I know very well that to be profitable again and make money forever, we must tame the industry and let everyone act rationally. I see it as a responsibility, but it's hard to do, and it requires a plan to put all the refining operations under my umbrella. John, to be a good hunter on the hunting ground for profit, you need to think about hard work things carefully, be able to see all possible dangers and opportunities, at the same time, study like a chess player, and consider everything that may jeopardize your dominance. I thoroughly studied the situation, assessed my strengths, and decided to make my base camp in Cleveland, as my first battleground in the war to rule the oil industry. Just as a commander on the battlefield chooses what kind of target to attack, he must first know what kind of firearm to choose that is the most effective to successfully implement the plan to unify the oil industry under my command. A means of thoroughly solving the problem is required. That's money, and I need a lot of money to buy those refineries that make overproduction. But the little money I had on hand was not enough to realize my plan, so I decided to form a joint stock company and bring in investors from outside the industry. Soon, we incorporated the Standard Oil in Ohio with millions of assets, and the capital expanded substantially 3.5 times the following year. But when to do it is a matter of knowledge. Visionary businessmen are always good at finding opportunities in every disaster, and that's what I did. Before we set out on our journey of conquest, the oil industry was in disarray. 90 of Cleveland's refiners were already overwhelmed by increasing competition, and if they didn't sell their plant, they would only watch themselves die. This is the best time to acquire a rival. It may seem unethical to take an acquisition at this time, but it really has nothing to do with conscience. Enterprises are like battlefields, and the significance of strategic goals is to create the most favorable state for oneself. Out of strategic consideration, as the first target I chose to conquer was not the vulnerable small company but the most formidable rival, Clark Payne. This company is well known in Cleveland and ambitious to eat my star refinery. But before the opponent decides, I always have to strike first. So I took the initiative to meet with Clark Payne's largest shareholder, my old high school friend, Mr. Oliver Payne, and I told him that the chaotic downturn in the oil industry was over. In order to protect the industry on which countless families depend, I want to build a large, high-performing oil company and welcome him. Payne was so impressed with my plan, and they agreed to sell the company for $400,000. I knew Clark Payne was not worth the price, but I didn't turn them down. Eating Clark Payne would mean that I would gain the status of the world's largest oil refinery. To act as a powerful vanguard, this trick really worked. In less than 2 months, 22 competitors came under the umbrella of Standard Oil, making me the big winner of that takeover battle, and thus giving me an unstoppable motivation. In the following 3 years, I successfully conquered the refiners in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and Baltimore, and became the only master of the oil refining industry in the United States. Thinking about it today, I'm really lucky. If I only said that my luck was bad, and I followed the trend, I might have been conquered long ago, but I plotted my luck. Anything can happen in the world, but nothing will happen for nothing. John, if we want to keep our luck, we must carefully plan luck, and planning luck requires a good plan. A good plan must be a good design, and a good design must be able to play a role. You need to know that there are 2 basic prerequisites to consider when conceiving a good design. The first is knowing your goal, such as what you want to do and even who you want to be. The second is knowing your goals. It is to know what resources you have, such as status, money, relationships, and even abilities. The order of these 2 basic conditions is not absolutely irreversible. But you may have an idea and a goal before you start looking for goals suitable for these resources. You can also mix them to form the 3rd and 4th methods. To achieve the goal, you have to selectively create some resources, and maybe have some resources and a certain goal. You must raise or lower your goals based on these resources. After you adjust the goals according to the resources or adjust the resources according to the goals, you have a foundation, a structure that can be conceived and designed, and the rest is to fill with means and time, and wait for luck to come. You need to remember, my son, to design luck is to design life. So while you wait for luck, you need to know how to channel it. Give it a try. Love, your father. Before we open the next letter, I'd love to know, which lesson from this letter resonated with you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. It's always fascinating to see how different minds interpret these timeless rules. The third letter. Heaven and hell are next to each other. November 9, 1897. Dear John. There is a fable that is very meaningful and touched me a lot. The parable says, in ancient Europe, when a man died, he found himself in a wonderful place where he could enjoy everything. As soon as he stepped into that paradise, someone who looked like a waiter came up to him and asked him, "Sir, do you need anything here? You can have everything you want, all the delicious food, all the entertainment possible, and all kinds of pastimes, many of which are available to young girls for you to enjoy." After hearing this person felt a little surprised, but very happy. He secretly rejoiced. Isn't this my dream in this world? All day long, he was tasting all the delicacies and at the same time enjoying the taste of beauty. One day, however, he was bored with it all, so he said to the waiter, "I'm so sick of all this. I need to do something. Can you find me a job?" He didn't accept that. The answer he got was shaking his head. "I'm sorry, my sir, this is the only thing we can do for you here. There's no work for you here." The man was frustrated and said, "This is so bad, then I'll just stay in hell." "Where do you think you are?" said the waiter gently. "John, this humorous parable seems to tell me that losing your job is the same as losing your happiness, but sadly, some people don't realize this until they lose their jobs, which is unfortunate. I can proudly say that I have never tasted unemployment. This is not my luck because I never regard it as a drudgery without fun. But I can find infinite happiness in my work. I think work is a privilege that brings more than sustains life. Work is the foundation of all business, the source of all prosperity, and the shape of genius. Work enables a young man to do more than his parents, no matter how rich they are. Work expresses itself in the humblest of savings and lays the foundation for happiness. Work is a salt that adds the taste of life. But one must love it before work can give the greatest favor and achieve the greatest results. When I first entered the business world, I often heard that it takes a lot of sacrifice to climb to the top. However, as the years passed, I began to understand that many people who were climbing to the top were not paying the price. They worked hard because they really love their work. People who move up the ladder in any industry are fully committed to what they are doing and dedicated. If they love to do it naturally, they will be successful. Loving work is a belief. With this belief, we can turn the mountain of despair into a rock of hope. A great painter said, "Well, the pain will pass away, but the beauty will remain." Some people are clearly not smart enough. They are ambitious, but they are too picky about their work and are always looking for the perfect employer or job. The truth is that an employer needs employees who are working on time, honest, and hardworking, and he only reserves raises and promotions for employees who are extra hardworking, extra loyal, extra enthusiastic, and spend more time doing things, because they are running a business and not doing charity work. He needs more valuable people. No matter how ambitious a person is, he must at least start first before he can reach the peak. Once you start, it is not too difficult to move on. The more difficult or unpleasant the work is, the more urgent it is to do it. The longer he waits, the harder and scarier it becomes. It's kind of like shooting a gun. The longer you aim, the less chance you have of shooting. I will never forget my first job as a bookkeeper. When I had to go to work every day at dawn, and the old lamps in the office were dim, but that job never let me down. I wasn't bored, but fascinated and delighted, and not even all the red tape in the office could make me lose my enthusiasm for it. As a result, my employer kept giving me raises. Income is only a byproduct of your work. Do what you need to do well, and the ideal salary will definitely come, and more importantly, the highest reward for our labor is not what we get, but what we become. Those who are active minds don't work hard just to make money, and that keeps their passion for work going, which is more noble than just a desire to make money. They are engaged in a glamorous business. To be honest, I'm a careerist, and I wanted to be rich since I was a child. For me, Hewitt Tuttle, where I was employed, was a great place to hone my skills and give me a try. It sells all kinds of goods, owns an iron mine, and operates two technologies, the railway and the telegraph. That revolutionized the American economy. It brought me into the interesting, vast, and splendid world, taught me to respect figures and facts, allowed me to see the power of the transportation industry, and cultivated the abilities and qualities that I should have as a businessman. All of these have played a huge role in my future business. I can say that without the experience of parents at Hewitt-Tuttle, I might have had to take a lot of detours in my career. Now, whenever I think of Mr. Hewitt and Mr. Tuttle, I can't help but feel grateful. That working life was the beginning of my life struggle and laid the foundation for me to rise up. I'm grateful for those 3.5 years of experience. So I never complain to my employer, as some people say we're nothing but slaves, repressed to the dust by employers, and they're on top, enjoying themselves and their beautiful villas. Their savings are full of gold, every dollar they have is obtained by squeezing us, honest workers. I don't know if these complainers are thinking irregularly. Who allowed you to work? Who gave you the possibility of building a family? Who gave you the possibility to develop yourself? If you are aware of the oppression of others, why don't you end the oppression and walk away? A workbench is an attitude that determines whether we are happy or not. They are both masons, and they also sculpt stone statues. If you ask them, "What are you doing here?" one of them may say, "You see, I'm cutting stone, and after cutting this piece, it's time to go home." This kind of person always regards work as a punishment, and the most common word in this mouth is tired. Another might say, "You see, I'm making a statue. It's hard work, but it pays well. After all, I have a wife and 4 kids who need food and clothing." Seeing work as a burden, the word that often spits out of his mouth is supporting the family. A third person might put down the hammer, point proudly at the stone carving and say, "You see, I'm making a work of art." This kind of person is always proud of his work. His work is a pleasure, and he often spits out, "This work is meaningful." Heaven and hell are built by themselves. If you give meaning to your work, you will be happy. If you don't like doing it, anything simple becomes difficult, boring, and when you're yelling, the job is tiring. You'll feel exhausted if you don't put in the effort, and vice versa. That's the way it is. John. If you see work as a pleasure, life is heaven. If you see work as an obligation, life is hell. Take a look at your work ethic, it will make us all happy. Love, your father. The 4th letter. Do it now. December 24, 1897. Dear John. The words of wise people always remind me very well. A wise man said, "Education covers many things, but it does not teach you any of them." This wise man showed us a truth: if you don't take action, the most practical and viable philosophy won't work. I have always believed that opportunities come from action. Even a very ordinary plan, if executed and developed, is far better than a good plan that falls by the wayside because the former will follow through and the latter will fail. That's why I said that there is no secret to success. To achieve positive results in life, it is certainly good to have extraordinary intelligence and special talents. There is nothing wrong with it. As long as you are willing to take positive actions, you will get closer and closer to success. Regrettably, many people did not remember this biggest lesson, and as a result, they reduced themselves to mediocrity. Look at those mediocre, ordinary people, you will find that they all live passively. But almost all of them are experts at making excuses, and they will find all kinds of excuses to delay until they prove it shouldn't, can't do it, or it's too late. Compared with such people, I seem to be much smarter and more cunning. Affirmative action is another hallmark of me, and I never like to talk on paper or in vain, because I know that there is no result without action, and there is nothing in the world that is not achieved by putting ideas into practice. As long as one lives, one must consider action. Many people admit that knowledge without the basis of wisdom is useless. But what is even more frustrating is that even if there is knowledge and wisdom, if there is no action, everything is still empty talk. Action and preparation can actually be seen as two sides of an object. Doing too much preparation and not taking action will only be a waste of time in the end. In other words, everything must be done in moderation, and we must not fall into the trap of constant rehearsal and planning, but must acknowledge the reality that no matter how well planned, it is still impossible to accurately predict the final solution. Of course, I do not deny that planning is very important. Planning is the first step in obtaining favorable results. But planning is not action, nor can it replace action. Just like golf, you can't get to the second hole without playing the first hole. Action solves everything. Without action, nothing will happen. People who lack action have a bad habit. They like to maintain the status quo and refuse to change. I think it's a bad habit with deceitful and self-destructive effects, because everything is changing. Just like people can live and die, nothing is constant. But because of the fear in his heart, the fear of the unknown, many people resist change, and even if the status quo is not satisfactory to him, he doesn't dare to take a step forward. Look at people who are supposed to be successful but don't, and you know it's hard not to be sympathetic to them. Yes, when everyone decides on a major event, they will be more or less worried and fearful in their hearts, and will face the trouble of whether to do it or not. But the actionist will use their determination to ignite the spark of their hearts, come up with various ways to fulfill their wishes, and have the courage to overcome all kinds of difficulties. Many people who lack action are naive and like to wait for things to happen naturally. They naively thought that others would care about their affairs. In fact, no one else is interested in them except themselves. People are only interested in their own business. For example, in a business, the higher the proportion of our profit, the more proactive we must take action because success or failure has little to do with others, and they won't care. At this point, we'd better give it a push. If we're lazy, withdrawn, and wait for someone else to take the initiative to push things forward, the results are bound to be disappointing. Only when a person relies on himself, he will not let himself down and can increase his chances of controlling his destiny. Smart people only make things happen. The most frustrating thing in life is that I want to do too many things. As a result, not only do I not have enough time to do it, but I think that there are too many steps in each thing. We must admit that time is limited, and no one can do everything. Smart people know that not all actions lead to good results. Only smart actions can lead to meaningful results, so smart people will only learn to do work that has positive results in the future, and do work related to accomplishing the greatest goal. So smart people always make the most valuable contribution and reap many benefits. To eat an elephant, you need to eat one bite at a time. The same is true of doing things. If you want to complete everything, you will only let the opportunity slip away. Many people make themselves passive, and they want to wait until all the conditions are perfect. Life is always full of opportunities, but almost nothing is perfect. Those passive people are mediocre all their lives precisely, because they have to wait until everything is 100% beneficial and nothing is lost before doing it. This is what fools do. We must surrender to life, believing that we have the opportunity we need right now to keep ourselves out of the quagmire of waiting forever for taking action. We pursue perfection, but nothing in human affairs is absolutely perfect, only close to perfection. Wait until everything is perfect, wait forever, and pass the chance to someone else. Those who wait until everything is ready to go will never leave home. To become the "I'll do it now" kind of person is to stop all daydreaming, think about the present all the time, and start doing it from now on. Sentences such as tomorrow, next week, in the future have the same meaning as never can. Everyone loses self-confidence and doubts their abilities at times, especially in times of adversity, but those who really understand the art of action can overcome it with strong perseverance. They will tell themselves that everyone fails sometimes, and there are times when they fail miserably. There are bound to be mistakes when you actually do it. However, passive people don't see failure as an opportunity to learn and grow, but they always warn themselves, maybe I really can't do it, so I lose my active participation in future actions. There is never a shortage of people with ideas, and ideas in our world, but there are very few people who know that successfully implementing a good idea is far more valuable than coming up with 1,000 good ideas at home. The real basis people use to judge your ability is not how much stuff you put in your head, but your actions. People trust down-to-earth people, and they all think that, if this person dares to speak and act, he must know how to do it best. I haven't heard anyone get credit for not interrupting people, not taking action, or waiting for someone to order something. Those leaders in the business world, the government, and the military are very capable and willing people, and they are 100% proactive. Those who stand on the sidelines and do nothing will never be leaders, whether they are an automatic person or a passive person, it is all a matter of habit. Habits are like ropes. We spin a rope every day, and it ends up being too thick to break. The ropes of habit lead us to peaks or valleys, depending on good habits or bad habits. Bad habits can dictate our success or failure. They're easy to form, but hard to serve. Good habits are hard to form, but easy to maintain. To have the habit of doing it now, the most important thing is to have a proactive spirit. Get rid of the habit of a sloppy spirit, be determined to be a proactive person, dare to do things, and don't wait until everything is ready to do it. There is never an absolutely perfect thing. Cultivating the habit of action does not require special wisdom or special skills. It only requires hard work and good habits to blossom and bear fruit in life. Son, life is a great battle. In order to win, you need to act again, act forever. In this way, your safety is guaranteed. Merry Christmas. I don't think there is a better Christmas present than this letter to you at this time. Love, your father. Knowledge is only potential power. Action is real power. If you are prepared to act, declare, "I am ready," in the comments. If you found value in this video, do me a favor, hit like and subscribe to unlock the wisdom from the next letters. Are you brave enough to hear the truth? I'll see you there.